so today I am going to be making a video with these Chalkola paints. So Chalkola very kindly sent me these to review for you guys. So these are 32 colour acrylic paints. So there's 32 different tubes of paint in here. I've had a quick look already and there is a good selection of colours, but I'm really excited to be working with them again. So they sent me some free products, I think at the beginning of the year, around February, March, just before lockdown happened. But they contacted me again to work with me again, and they sent me these to review. I'm also going to be doing a little blog post for them too, which I will link down below once it is up on their website. I haven't been paid to review these. Everything I'm saying is my own opinion. The only thing I got in return for doing this was the box of paints. So this video is going to take me a long time to do. The reason for that is because I'm going to be painting on these really big canvases here. I mean, they're not huge, but for me they're quite big. I'm not the fastest painter, and I want to do two really detailed pieces, so it is going to take me a few days to paint these, I'm sure, but I'm excited to see what they look like. I've already planned out what I want to paint on each one, so all I need to do is go to my iPad, sketch it out, and then transfer it to the canvas. But before I do that, I'm going to show you what colours came in the box. So in this box, as I said before, there are 32 colours of acrylic paint. These are 22 milliliter tubes. As you can see, there's a good range of colours in here. I like that there's a lot of pinks, especially because they're definitely going to be colours I'm going to be using for these paintings, and I use a lot of pinks usually, so there is quite a nice selection. There's 3 pinks there, and then 2 purples. Maybe a couple more purples would have been better for me personally, but you know, other than that, I still think it is a good selection. So you can see there's some reds and yellows, and you have 2 whites, which is also really good because I get through white pretty fast, so it's good to have 2 tubes. And as you can see, there is quite a few browns. I don't really use browns that much, but I might actually use them for the paintings I'm doing today, so they might come in handy. And you've got a good selection of greens and blues too, and then you've got some grey, a black and a silver. So I might as well go and get started with sketching out my ideas on my iPad. To decide what I wanted to paint, I actually looked on Pinterest and I found some photos that I liked and kind of blended them together to create my final painting ideas. And then I decided to start by watering down some green paint and just putting a base layer around my bunny, like where all the green would go. I put the green paint down there. This is just kind of to make it a little bit easier for me to add paint on top of it. And then I added in some Payne's grey with some white to add some shading to the little bunny. So I've just opened up this colour here, which is Flesh Tint, which I was going to use for the flowers. But as you can see, it looks a lot darker. I definitely think it's a lot more orangey than this pink is showing. Like, this is a really nice like light pink, and then that is really orangey in comparison, which is kind of annoying, as I was kind of excited to see that there was a light pink, as usually you have to mix your own pink colours. But yeah, as you can see, it does look kind of orangey. Once all my watered down paint was on the canvas, I started layering up the actual paint. I started painting the bunny white and then went in with this kind of brown colour to kind of start colouring in the bunny, starting with his little ears. And then I kind of just added more colours and built it up more and more to try and add as much texture as I can and as much detail as I could. So I'm back for day 2. I will probably finish this bunny painting today. I have all day to work on it today, so hopefully I will get it done. Yesterday I only had a few hours to work on it, so I think I should be all good to finish it today. I'm not sure if I'll be able to start the other one. But I'm really happy with how it's going so far. I know it doesn't look like much, it looks very scruffy and messy, but I'm now going to start building up the colours and actually like working to painting it. So let's go and get it done. For me, I really like incorporating other colours that you might not necessarily see in the original photo in the painting. So I ended up using a lot of pinks and blues to add into the detail of my painting. As you can see here, I'm using blue to colour in the eyes and nose instead of using black. I don't really like using black that often. I'm pretty sure I said this before on my channel, but I tend to use a dark colour that kind of complements the rest of the painting or illustration. So I decided to go for a dark blue. And then kind of once I'd finished painting like the details of the face, I started just going in and building up the colours, adding in more shading. I felt like the face needed a lot more to it. I wasn't quite happy with it, so I kind of went over it and added in some more darker colours and then blended it in a bit more with white, and kind of just kept blending and reapplying the paint until I was really happy with how it looked. And I really like how the face came out in the end, and I think she looks really nice and fluffy. As you can see, I did kind of have to repaint the mouth on a little bit as I did lose it, but that's not the end of the world. It was an easy fix. Then I started going in and adding in even more detail, just little flecks of colour to make it kind of seem like the bunny was really fluffy, which it was in the photo, and I used a lot of pinks and blues to do that. And I later kind of go in and end up building a lot more on it, but then once I'd finished the face, I kind of got bored of colouring the bunny, so I decided to kind of work into the flowers a little bit, and kind of get them blocked colours down for those flowers. And I kind of started adding in some little grass where the grass would be. In the end I did end up painting over this, but it was good for me to kind of get an idea of where I wanted everything to be on the canvas. As you can see, I then went in again with some white paint and started building into the fluffiness on the bunny's face. Once the paint had dried, it was really important for me to get that in, as I still really want, as I've said before, I wanted the bunny to be super fluffy looking. But this paint does take kind of a while to dry, so I needed to spend some time wait for it to dry, and then I could kind of build the colours on top again. But you can also see here that I am using a lot of blues and pinks to add in kind of more depth and detail, but I'm also using the blue to add in shadow as well. So in darker areas I am using blue a lot more heavier, and then lighter areas maybe I'm leaving it a bit more white, but the places next to that would be pink. I really like how he looks, and I'm happy with the colours I chose to paint him with. Painting the grass strands over the bunny was really scary in case I ruined the bunny, but it came out so well and I'm super happy with it. And I didn't need to be scared of ruining my painting. So I didn't finish it today. I will have to finish it another day, but I have made good progress on it. So I finished the bunny pretty much. I still need to go in and add in a few details once I've done the background. But yeah, I've just got to do the background now. So I'm happy with how it is looking so far. One of the biggest things I'm definitely noticing with these paints are the colours aren't quite correct to the colours that are actually in the tube. So far it's been really obvious with these two colours, so the flesh tint and the Naples yellow, but they're great to apply on the canvas and I'm really enjoying using them. I also think you have to layer the paints on quite heavily with some of the paints, but there's actually a little diagram on the back of the box which explains which paints are more translucent than others. But again, I'm not entirely sure how well it actually sticks to that guide, but I think it's a good idea that they have this. But with most paints, even if it's the same brand, paint transparency does vary. The reason for that is because all different colours of paints are made up separately in like different ways, so they are going to be a little bit different to the next colour of paint just because of the way they're made up, which makes some colours more thicker than others, which is to be expected. But I do think it's a good thing that they've shown you which colours are more likely to be thicker than not. But again, I'm not entirely sure how well it actually sticks to that, because I feel like the white is quite translucent, but it's actually labelled as not being, so it's not perfect, but I do think it's a good idea to have that on it. But I build up my paints quite a lot on my canvas, so it's not really an issue for me anyway, especially as I started with putting down a bottom layer before I actually started getting into the painting. Anyway, I am going to call it for a night for today, but I will see you guys tomorrow to hopefully finish off this painting and start the next one. So as you can see, it is super sunny in my studio today, so let's get going and finish this painting. So as I just mentioned, it was a lovely sunny day in the studio, which is kind of annoying when it comes to filming a painting. But today I went and built in some more with the flowers. I added in white chunks to kind of place the flowers where I wanted them to, added in some little leaves as well, and then kind of started building in with the grass too. And then in the end I went and just completely covered the whole background this really nice dark sap green colour. Now my painting is finally taking shape to it and it's actually looking like a painting. So I did actually kind of blend in a little bit of yellow into the background. It wasn't just the same flat green. The reason I wanted to do that was because I wanted to kind of add a little bit of depth to it and not make it just like a flat one shade coloured background. I wanted it kind of look like the bunny was outside and in the grass, and I think this did actually achieve the look I wanted it to. Later on I do go in and add some more grass strands into the painting, but for now you can kind of see that it is slowly coming together, even if the flowers don't currently look the best. This bit was probably the bit I had the less patience for. It took me ages to get these flowers painted, and I was kind of just really excited to get it finished because I'd finished the fun bit already, which was painting the bunny. Even though I do paint a lot of flowers and things like that, I do get bored of colouring them in quite regularly, because I think it's just because, you know, it's a lot of small details and it's just not really that exciting when you're painting the same thing over and over again, whereas the bunny was like a really fun, cute thing to paint. But obviously I do have to go in and get those flowers done to make it a really good, complete, finished painting. So I'm still not quite there yet, just a little bit left to go, but I've only really got to finish the flowers and then paint the edge of the canvas and I'm done. So then hopefully tomorrow I will be able to get the last one finished. So I was still working on the flowers. They just took me so much longer than I expected them to. I don't think I even went into as much detail as I could have done with the flowers, but I kind of like how they look. They don't have too much detail in, which kind of draws your eye more into the detail of the rabbit rather than the flowers, which are a bit more blocky. Well, not blocky, but they're just more shape. They're just shapes rather that show that they could be flowers and the detail of them possibly being flowers, but without going into too much and showing like all the information of the details of the flowers could possibly have, which I kind of like, that they're not too overpowering and they don't distract you from the bunny. Plus it was a bit easier for me to paint that way too. Maybe it was a little bit of a cop-out, but I'm happy with how they came out in the end. The rose though, I did go in and add a lot of detail to that because that was quite a big flower and I felt like it was kind of like a centerpiece of all the flowers and the ground of the bunny, so I felt like it really definitely needed to have all the detail it could have in there. And I'm really happy with how the grass came out in this too. I really love how they like just flick upwards and they look so, like they have so much movement. One down, another one to go. So it's 4 o'clock right now. I'm about to start the second canvas. I'm a little bit nervous about getting it finished in time because I want to edit this video tomorrow. So hopefully I will be able to get the painting done and then edit this in time for Monday. As I did with the bunny painting, I just started blocking down the colours. I started with the green background again. This time I didn't bother mixing it in with white paint. Kind of wish I had done, but that's just because I ended up running out of the green paint, nearly running out of the green paint at the end, and it would have just made my life so much easier if I hadn't. And I'd mixed it with the white paint as I had done before, but it wasn't really the end of the world. And the colours of the deer I kind of struggled with. There was a lot of colours in the photo I was using and I wasn't really sure how I could approach it very well, so you can kind of see here I kind of changed my mind a little bit on what the colours are going to be, but I did settle on a really nice colour scheme for it. And I did end up building in a lot of other colours into the painting of the deer. So there's a lot of pinks and reds, like a fuchsia kind of pink in there, a little bit of orange and yellow in there too. So I was just really trying to get like the reflection of the sunlight on the deer's fur and then kind of the background colours kind of in there too to bring it all together. And I really also wanted to make it look really nice and cute and furry, just like the bunny. So again, I'm building in like other colours like blue to where the shadows are, and then kind of blending in and building on top of that. I feel like with the deer there was definitely a lot more layers than with the rabbit, but that might have been because the rabbit was white, whereas the deer is brown with lots of different colours and shades in its fur, so it just needed that extra little bit added to it compared to the bunny. Once it got to the point where I'd already applied a layer or two to the canvas, it got so much better applying the paint because the paint laid down already was just nice and smooth and great to paint over, and is really fun blending together and experimenting with different ways of getting that kind of fairy texture from my paintbrushes. I spent so much time building onto the deer's face. This took me so much longer than any other part of the painting. I think I probably spent around 2, maybe even 3 hours working on this deer. And the face alone was probably a huge chunk of that, probably most of it. I actually put on a new Netflix TV show I hadn't seen before and I watched the whole thing, and I hadn't even finished the painting by the time it ended, so that kind of gives you an idea of how long this did end up taking me. But I am really happy with the final result, which you will see very soon. I am sort of running out of things to say at the moment, but I definitely think that the Chalkola paint set is really good. They have a good selection of colours. The one thing I'd probably say about it is that you can't buy the paint tubes separately. So as I mentioned earlier, I did end up running out of the green paint, which is kind of an issue for when I want to do more paintings like this, because I would have to buy the whole set of paints again. I mean, I didn't buy it, but you know what I mean. I'd have to get the whole set of paint again to get that one colour, which is kind of annoying as that's not something I would want to do. I would wait until all the colours are run out before I get a new set, which is kind of frustrating because I do really like the green I ended up using. Just gotta finish off the flowers in the background and then it will be done. I can't believe I'm nearly finished with it and I'm so happy with how it looks. Now we're back onto the bit I hate the most, painting flowers. I was kind of struggling with these flowers. I found it really difficult to kind of get how I wanted them to look. I wasn't really that happy with them and it took me a long time to kind of be happy with them. I do later on change the pink flowers down below. They had the big petals like the blue flowers, but in the end I decided to change them and I made the petals a lot thinner and made more of them, which I really like. And there you've kind of got the difference between the different petal sizes, which I think worked really well. But at this point of the painting, I wasn't so sure of them, and I did think I'd ruined the painting because I'd done such a great deer, and then I kind of brought these flowers in that didn't look anywhere near as good as the deer. But I did manage to fix it, thankfully. But it did take me a while to get that done, and probably almost nearly as much as it took me to get the deer painted, which is quite a long time. These paints are definitely good for someone who is just starting out painting, because you've got all the colours you need, and then you can kind of use the colours you get in this set to then go and build on your collection by buying other colours, you know, separately from other brands or something like that. But it is a really good set for beginners and for people like me who semi-regularly end up painting with acrylic paints. I'm so close to being finished now with this painting. I just have to finish off the flowers and kind of a bit of the ground, but I am actually going to leave it till tomorrow because it's like 1 in the morning right now, so I'm going to go to bed and finish it tomorrow. I'm really happy with how the deer came out. I really like it. I'm not quite there yet with the flowers. I think they definitely need some work. I mean, they're definitely not finished being painted yet, but I don't know how they will look once I finish with it, but I'm gonna stop for tonight so I don't ruin it, as I really do like how the little deers come out. So I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so this is gonna be the final day of getting this painting finished. So we're finally so close to the end now, but here I am just building a little bit more into those flowers. As I mentioned before, I wasn't really the happiest with them, but I did manage to fix them. I really like how the grass looks again in this painting. I really like how kind of it flicks up and just looks like it's kind of moving in the wind. I also feel like it kind of adds a little bit of a fantasy element, especially to this piece, because with the bunny was probably the right size, but I wanted to make the grass to be the same as the bunnies to match it, but this means that it looks like the deer is really small. I mean, obviously it's a baby deer, so it's going to be smaller than a big deer, but I don't think the grass would quite be that big in comparison in real life. So it kind of makes it look a bit more like a fantasy painting, I think, because of the size difference. But I wanted to keep the grass the same as the bunny to make them both match. I felt like this was a good choice to make them, you know, be part of the same set or collection or something like that. And they work well together, as they are so similar in colour and how I've painted them, and basically pretty much everything. I think they do work together well together, and I might even put them up somewhere in my house. So yeah, I'm just kind of building in the colours with these flowers. I wasn't really happy with them, and I just added some blue to the pink flowers to kind of make them pop a little bit more, and I ended up going over the blue flowers with some red. I think it was red rather than pink, because the pink didn't really show up that well on the blue, but I think it really does bring it together and makes them stand out a little bit more and makes them look a lot better than they did, and I'm overall really happy with how this piece looks. Still can't decide which one I prefer, but I think I really like the detail I did in the deer's face. And then once I finished, I went and painted the edge of the canvas. So I finally finished these paintings. They took me a lot longer than I thought they would, but I'm finally done with them. I am super happy with how they've come out. I really like them. I'm kind of finding it difficult to pick which one is my favorite. I'm not sure, but I think they work really well together. I've had these canvases for a long time now, and I haven't really thought of what to paint on them before because they're such a weird shape, but I really like how they look, and I think the paints were really good too and really helped me create my art. I am pretty much out of this green paint now. I've pretty much used every little bit left in this tube, so you do have to pile the paint on quite heavily onto the canvas, but I do think that's good because it makes it easier to kind of mix colours and add more textures into the painting. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I have a link down below in the description of where you can get your own Chalkola acrylic paint set just like mine, and thank you again to Chalkola for sending me these so I could make this video. And thank you to you guys for watching, obviously. But if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and let me know down below in the comments of what you would paint with these paints and on these quirky, interesting canvases that I've got. I've never painted on shaped canvases before, so it was totally new for me, and it took me a while to think of something to paint on them, but I'm super happy with what I did paint on them. But I'm getting off track here, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be the first to be notified for when I next upload, which I believe now my upload days are going to be on Monday. I don't know if that's going to stay the same, but I do upload once a week anyway. I'm just trying to experiment to see what times work best for posting on my channel. But I also want to thank everyone so much for supporting me on this channel. My views have gone up a lot recently, and so is my watch time and my subscribers. So hello to everyone who is new here and has recently joined me. It really means a lot that you are here. Anyway, thank you again, and I'll see you next time. Bye!